Well, hello there everyone, good evening and welcome to Inside Line Racing. Technical difficulties there at the very start. I started the broadcast and then it abruptly stopped and I've had to wait a few minutes to make sure it is actually live on YouTube before I start talking, because it would have been a bit of an issue otherwise. So then, my name is Alex Lilliart. For those of you familiar with me, welcome back to one of my commentaries. For those of you unfamiliar with me and my work with ILR, well, for the past 2 seasons I raced for first halves within the Williams team in ILR3, but the league offered me an opportunity to hang up my racing gloves and boots and pick up a microphone instead, and I've gladly jumped at the opportunity. This is it then. Everyone has been waiting for the start of the season. We've already had ILR 5 and 6 kick off a couple of hours ago. We've also got live on the Inside Line Racing YouTube channel ILR 4 as well, which is running at the same time as us. So if you want to switch between the two, do feel free to do so to see the action from both tiers. But this is ILR 3 then. A lot of drivers here I am familiar with, and I'm sure a lot of these guys will be looking to start off the season in the best possible way with maximum points. We're here of course at round 1 for Australia at this beautiful Albert Park circuit in Melbourne. I have been informed by several of the drivers, and thank you very much for doing that, that their qualifying and the race session is going to remain dry. So all these drivers will be out there setting in the quickest times possible in qualifying and will already have their race strategy in mind. As for race strategy, the one stop is doable round here. Quite a few of the drivers have been talking about going out there and qualifying on the ultra soft tyres. They're then skipping out the super softs completely in the race, making the purple walled ultras last, going on to the yellow walled soft tyres and hopefully taking them to the end. It could be a few people maybe having to do a 2-stop strategy, whether they pick up damage early on or not, but hopefully these guys can keep it clean in the first handful of laps. Just 11 minutes left of this qualifying session, and Lightning Gasly currently on provisional pole with a 20.360. Paul McGuinness up into second place, backed up by his fellow countryman Ginger Andy in third place. 20 Boy in fourth. Rinky Murray. Sorry if I butcher names, I'm new to this, in 5th place. So, talking about butchering names, I think the best thing to do is probably go away and have a little look at the team lineups for this season. So in the Mercedes team then we've got the Joker and Nigel. The Ferrari team have 2 LMC drivers, Bugster and Vettel F1. In the Red Bull team we have another LMC driver. God, they're all in here, aren't they? LMC Josh, and he's partnered with Rinky Morris. In the Force India we have Ginger Andy and Flexi, and I believe Flexi mentioned earlier this is his 150th race in ILR. So a little bit of a milestone there, and hopefully he can put in a good result tonight to back up that little milestone he has. In the Renault team we have EFC Matthew and EVR Matt, 2 Matthews in that team. The Haas team has Paul McGuinness and Lukey Luke. The McLaren team has the main aspect and the greatest PSN name ever, Spaghetti Chips. In the Toro Rossos we have a pairing of Raver's Revenge and FTR El Panini. Williams team have Tough to Handle and Konzo, and finally the Sauber team have TMB Wazzy and Owen Wyatt. We do have 3 reserves in ILR3, and all 3 are in action tonight. 20 Boy replaces the Joker at Mercedes, Lego Minecraft replaces Raver's Revenge at Toro Rosso, and Lightning Gasly, coming on provisional pole, replaces LMC Josh at Red Bull. TMB Wazzy was unavailable tonight for whatever reason to race for Sauber. So we have 19 of the 20 drivers, 9.5 minutes left of the session. Gasly still up there on provisional pole, although LMC Vettel is just moved up into 3rd place. No, 4th now, because Tough to Handle has just moved up then. So this is Lego Minecraft then. He's a reserve, but he's a quick driver. Currently out there on circuit, and I think one thing we should do is probably bring up this one here then, just to show us the best lap time that they've managed to do on what particular tyres. You can see they've the top 8 all set their best time so far on the ultra soft tyres. In fact, top 9, someone's just moved up there. And Konzo is currently the quickest of a 121.416 on the super soft tyres. We've still got 5 drivers, including Lego Minecraft, that we're looking at here, that have yet to set a lap time. The main aspect currently out there at the moment as well. I think we'll bring up the lap data as well, just so we know who's doing what on the circuit. We've got a slow Renault just coming out the pits there. Sticking to the rules, keeping well off the racing line to allow the quicker guys on their hot laps through. We had yellow flags there in Sector 2, not too sure who, what, where or why that was for. We've also got yellow flags in Sector 1, so a few drivers obviously pushing the limits there. Someone's taking a massive corner cut there, hopefully to try and get out of the way for whatever reason. It's the Mercedes, and he is staying out of the way. So a few drivers pushing the limits here early on, trying to find the levels of grip that they can do, and a few of them seem to be running off the circuit. Yellow flags in Sector 1, 2 and 3 now. What's going on? I think FTRL Panini's just recovered. Not too sure, but yeah, anyway, Lightning Gasly still on provisional pole then. Looks like he's completing an in-lap. Tough to handle currently out there at the moment as well, but this is not a quick lap. Paul McGuinness in the pits in third. Nigel moves up into fourth place, so it might be that driver then that moved up whilst I was talking about who was on what tyres inside the top 10. LMC Vettel in fifth, but he's just been bumped down to sixth by our milestone man Flexi, who moves up with the Racing Point Force India, I should probably call him now, into fourth place. So 7.5 minutes left of the session, quite a few drivers out there. It gives me a quick opportunity then to maybe jump on board with someone and also talk about this circuit and its characteristics and what the drivers should expect tonight. One stop strategy is usually king here, but you will see a few drivers potentially do the two stop if they've picked up early damage or they just can't look after the tyre management as well as the other drivers. We have 3 DRS zones here. Usually it's 2, but for this season we had 3. The main 2, of course, on the run down to turn 1 and then on the run down to turn 3. You can expect a majority of the overtaking to be done now. We also have, after the very fast left-right chicane ending sector 2 going into sector 3, we have a DRS zone on that curving back straight after there. That's not really a particularly high place to overtake, even with the DRS, but it is an opportunity if someone ahead gets a little bit out of shape, get a bit twitchy on the exit, back end tries to step out, they put 2 wheels in the gravel, obviously their exit speed will be compromised, and if you're behind with the DRS, that might be a good opportunity to get past. So we're expecting quite a lot of overtakes tonight, quite a lot of action as well. It looks like then that the top 15 have all set a lap time so far, and there's only 1.5 seconds between them. So just like the last 2 seasons, ILR3 looks to be insanely competitive, which is what we want to see. We don't want to see the same guys running away with race wins, podiums and high points and pole positions every week. We want to see all these drivers have their moment in the sun. 6 minutes and 23 seconds left. The majority of the field now in the pits. We're just watching spaghetti chips here. And Gasly goes fastest again. 1 minute 20.179. So he's now 3/10, exactly 3/10 clear of Tough to Handle, who is just under a 10th away from Spaghetti Chips as well. 3 drivers still get to set a lap time, and they are all in the pits. So I'm going to take a quick break here to take a glass of water. Any comments, any of you guys and girls watching the stream, anything you want to know about, you know, what I think about the Australian circuit, who do I think's got a good chance for championship, maybe anything about me if you don't know me that well, do drop them in the comments. I will read the comments, of course, and answer any questions about anything that you may want to ask, just to get you guys a bit more involved and interactive with tonight's stream. And of course, do remember ILR4 currently running in another stream on the same channel. So then just over 4 minutes left of the session. Have a question here from Tom Mukilhatton. Sorry if I butchered your surname, my friend. Alex, who will win the championship? You're going to give me the most difficult question as the first question I've ever got to answer. Any one of these guys could win the championship. It's that scarily close. Lightning Gasly is probably the quickest in ILR3, but he is, of course, just a reserve driver. And 1 point to make about the reserve drivers. They'll only race, of course, if the regular drivers, the regular 20 drivers can't make it. They do score points for themselves in the drivers' standings, but they don't score points for the team they're representing because, of course, they'll be moving from team to team during the season because not obviously the same people are going to be missing every race. As LMC Vettel has retired, probably feels he can't improve, so he's done. So Paul McGuinness then, with 3 minutes and 14 seconds left to go. We'll jump on board then with the Scotsman, currently sitting in second place as he looks to hunt down the Red Bull of Lightning Gasly. We'll jump on board then. Oh, he's going in the pits. That's disappointing. I'll try and find someone else. This usually does happen. I think Nigel's in the second sector. Winky Murray, where is he? He's in sector 3. White's currently in sector 2. So we'll bail that one then, and hopefully at some point this season we'll be able to do a hot lap on board of one of his drivers in qualifying. Lego Minecraft currently out there. Looks like he's coming round the final 2 corners to complete what will be hopefully his first lap. So we'll jump on board with Lego then as he takes us on a lap around Albert Park. Out the final corner then. The first DRS line just there, you can see the finger on the button opening it up and across the grid hatchings, and here we go then. Lego now on a flying lap, currently down in 17th place, the reserve driver. Turn 1, you really want to chuck the car in, but be very wary of the curb on the exit, and then turn 2 as well, pretty much flat on the left hander. This is the second DRS zone. You want to brake as late as humanly possible for turn 3, but do be aware the apex does jump up on you. Stay away from the curb, move over to the right, stay away from the curb on entrance and exit here as best as you can, and then a long right hander here flat out, and again the curb on the outside. You put too much of the car on that, it will spit you out. Bit of a difficult braking zone for this. You can take quite a lot of curb on the inside left, and then this long right hander all the way flat through here underneath the advertising hoardings over to the left hand side, late on the brakes, miss that sausage curb on the right if you can. It will pitch the car up onto 2 wheels flat through the left hander. This is now the back curving straight. We've got, I believe it's turns 10 and 11 or 11 and 12, whatever they're called, coming up in a minute. Will he drop down a gear? Will he lift? Just drops down the gear, left and then right again, running a little wide. His DRS zone number 3, finger on the button again, pulling to the left hand side to get the best line into the next corner. This is another tricky spot as well. I'd be surprised how many people will be running wide here during the race. Maybe down the gear here, he does, down into 5th for the right hander, over to the right, heavy braking, 3rd or 2nd gear, 2nd, probably up to 3rd, straight away to kill the traction. Oh, he's made a mistake as he comes into the final corner. He'll be kicking himself for that. He opens up the DRS, he'll be coming over the line, but I don't think this will be a really quick lap. He's managed to get himself up into 10th place, but he'll be kicking himself for that. He possibly, without that little mistake, may have got himself up into 6th or 7th. So Lego then, the reserve driver here in ILR3, moves up into 10th place. We've got just under a minute left of the session then. Can anyone get close to Lightning Gasly? Flexi then, he's on the fast lap, I believe. Paul Rinky Morris has just moved up into 2nd place. So it's a Red Bull 1-2 at the moment, I believe. It is. As he's, it's just, if you're going to get out of the way, do it a bit earlier than that. That was right across the bow of whoever that was. Flexi then, our milestone man this evening, coming up in 3rd place. Tough to handle, locking up, going into the second to last corner. So he's coming round now to start his flying lap. A few drivers now retiring from the session. They feel they cannot improve, and it's pointless to be still out there or waiting in the pitch. 20 boy then, another reserve. He's currently inside the top 10. So tough to handle them. Up into 3rd place at the moment, starting his final lap is Lightning Gasly out there. He is just coming into the final corner, so he's just coming through now to start his flying lap. And Tough to Handle's got a lot of track. And Tough to Handle's actually backed out. Tough to Handle has backed out there, so he will not be on a flying lap. Flexi coming around the final corner now. He's into the pit, so his session is over. I don't think anyone is going to go for it here. Oh, Spaghetti Chips has just moved up into 2nd place. Fantastic lap from the McLaren driver then. Completely unaware of him as we got a Haas beached it in the wall on the exit of turn 1. Not many people then going for a flying lap here at the end of the session. A lot have already burnt through their ERS and their fuel as well. Konzo is the highest driver that could potentially challenge to get up near the front row, but he's got to find the best part of 6/10 if he wants to take pole position. Coming round the final corner now in this Martini Williams. Over the grid hatchings in. Is he going to get himself up higher than 9th place? He doesn't. And that is the session over. Then we've just got EVR Matt and a few others as well still going. Where's EVR Matt in all this? He's coming out the final corner now. Currently down in 18th place on a 21.7. And he's backed out and he's going slowly. EFC Matthew just coming through the final corner now in the 2nd Renault. He's currently down in 13th place. Can he get himself up inside the top 10? Just running up to the line now. DRS open. He can. 8th place. Well done to him. And Ginger Andy as well. He's just coming into the final 2 corners. Lightning Gasly retires. He knows no one can beat him. But can Ginger Andy, who was up quite high at the beginning of his session, has fallen all the way down to 13th. Oh, runs very wide there. May have just clipped the outside wall a little bit there. Running up to the line now. And he does indeed move up into the top 10. I think it might have been 5th or 6th place. It's 8th place there. That's the qualifying session over then. No one could challenge the reserve driver of Lightning Gasly, and all eyes and all money will be on the Red Bull driver to see if he can streak away to win the race. So there we go then. The Aston Martin Red Bull Racing team have done well with first and third. Gasly takes pole, and the team are separated by the orange McLaren of spaghetti chips. Tough to handle, and Rinky Morris line up on row 2. Then it's Flexi and Paul McGuinness, LMC Vettel and Ginger Andy, the second Scotsman, in 8th place. EFC Matthew and Twanny Boy Jr. in the Mercedes round out the top 10. Then we have Konzo, Nigel, Lego Minecraft, Lukey Luke, LMC Boogster, The Main Aspect, Owen Wyatt, EVR Matt, and FTRL Panini, who failed for whatever reason to set a lap time. I'm going to take a quick break here, but do stay tuned, and I'll start chatting again, let you know about strategies and what tyres these guys are on the formation lap. So in the formation lap currently underway, most of the drivers there just warming up the tyres and the brakes as best as they can. Lightning Gasly then starting on pole position ahead of Spaghetti Chips, and Rinky Morris, his teammate, backing him up in 3rd place. I'll bring up then the tyres. There we go. Right, for those of you unaware with the rules and regulations in Formula 1, the tyres that you were running when you set your fastest lap time in qualifying and you made it through into the top 10, they're the tyres you have to start on. So all these guys in the top 10, all on the ultra soft tyres as you would expect, but of course these tyres will have a little bit of wear on them, so hopefully these guys can keep it clean once the wear starts to go and the back end starts to slip slide everywhere, and it could be interesting to see if all of these guys can manage the one-stop strategy going on to the softs. Everyone outside of the top 10 apart from Lukey Luke have decided to either go for the super softs or the soft tyres, to be expecting them to go a lot longer into the race. It'll be crucial for the likes of Konzo, Nigel and Lego as well to see if they can get some early positions over these guys on the ultra soft tyres, and hopefully try and stay ahead of them as well, because they'll be going long in the race, so they need track position. But these guys on the ultra soft tyres need the best start possible to make their strategy work. They don't want to get bogged down in the midfield or pick up early damage, because that will completely ruin their strategy. So then the leaders just come back onto the grid now then. Everyone has behaved himself, which is nice to see. FTRL Panini in the Toro Rosso just making his way onto the grid, and like I said in the pre-season race, a beautiful cascade of reds and orange and whites and yellows and blues making their way onto the grid then. And in a few seconds, season 4 on Inside Line Racing is going to kick off with the ultra competitive ILR3. Yellow flags in sector 3, not too sure what that's about, but anyway, the 4 lights, 5 lights, and in a few seconds away we go now. It's a slow start for some of the guys, but the rear tyres light up as they all struggle for grip and traction. Good start by Gasly, and it looks like Rinky Morris is coming around the outside of Spaghetti Chips down into turn 1. We'll have a quick look back. Not the ideal camera angle I wanted, really. I need to see if there's any action further back. Looks like they've all managed to get it through, but Rinky Morris has lost the position. Paul McGuinness in 5th place, fighting with Flexi. McGuinness up the inside, going into turn 3. We've got action further back as well. We've got got the Mercedes guys very close together, and the McLaren and the Ferrari dicing as well at the back there. We've got the Sauber and the Williams going side by side. That's Owen White and Konzo, I think, as well. It looks like everyone has made it through, although we had a car just running a bit wide there, coming through 5 and 6. But Gasly leads, 8 tenths ahead of Spaghetti Chips. Tough to handle. Paul McGuinness in 4th place, pushing Winky Morris down to 5th. Flexi in 6th. He's got the Ferrari of LMC Vettel thinking about to move up the inside into the right-hander. He'll have to give him the space. He does so indeed, but he's going to be very close to the back of him. The rest of the midfield all fighting through now, struggling to find position on track. They're almost 2-3 wide further back there. Oh, into the left-hander. That's brave. Hats off to you if you managed to put it off through there. They've managed to keep it clean. Brilliant driving by a lot of them. But I think Flexi is going to have to defend going into the inside. Oh, the main aspect's out of the race, and it looks like there's a few positions further back. That's all happening here. What's happened to Nigel? He's lost positions. Konzo as well has run wide. Can't see if there's any damage on these guys or not, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, the main aspect already out of the race at the end of lap 1. He's left the session immediately, but it's Lightning Gasly then. It's over a second ahead of Spaghetti Chips. Tough to handle in 3rd place. Paul McGuinness in 4th. Rinky Morris in 5th. They're pulling away then from Flexi. They're dropping their Force India of Flexi at the moment. He's got LMC Vettel, EFC Matthew, 20 boy behind. Looks like Lego and Ginger Andy going into battle here over the final points position. Lego up the inside of Ginger Andy, and they've got to be careful because the Sauber of Owen White there in the background as well. Oh, a little bit of moving about between the two of them, and it's Owen and Ginger Andy going into turn 3, but the Force India keeps them at bay at the moment. Nigel in the pits then. I can only assume that's to fix damage. So I think we'll bring up this graph here as well, just to see the biggest movers and shakers in the race so far. Then, so Owen White's up 5 positions. He's done well. Lego also up 3. Nigel's lost a lot of positions, you can imagine, having to pit at the end of lap 1. The leaders stay as they are. Tough to handle, and Paul McGuinness have moved up. Like I said, Rinky Moore is starting 3rd. He's now down into 5th. We've got side-by-side action here. LMC Vettel and the EFC Matthew. This is going to be brave into the left-hander. Who's going to blink first? Neither of them. They're going side by side, and almost side by side coming out of it. But EFC Matthews had to back off, and he's held up 20 boy. And here comes the Lego event as well. He's already got past him. So Lego on a charge up the inside of EFC Matthew as well. It'll be great if he manages to pull this off. It'll be 2 moves in 2 corners. And I think EFC Matthews had to back out, and 20 boy as well. Oh, and 20 boy spun round. He must have made contact there with either Lego or EFC Matthews. Managed to get it pointed in the right direction, but he's rejoined all the way down in 17th place. The only person behind him is his teammate. So it's a bad race so far for Mercedes. Didn't see what happened there really, but I think there's pretty much 3 wide going into the right-hander, and that's never going to work. So the rest of the field now all filter through. The back half of the field all very close together. Not much between them. It's all being led by Lego at the moment, who's done well. 5 positions up into 8th place on the super soft tyres as well. So he's ahead of a few guys on the Ultras. EFC Matthew being one of them. LMC Vettel in 7th. Flexi has lost 1 position down into 6th. Rinky Moore is still there in 5th. Paul McGuinness keeping pace with Tough to Handle. But he's 1.3 seconds behind Spaghetti Chips, who's 1.8 behind Lightning Gasly. And congratulations, Owen White. You become our first driver to pick up an ETL this season. Strict corner cutting rules, of course, this season in ILR. They've run regular for the last few seasons. The league now think it's time to move on to strict corner cutting, which is a move that I applaud. I think all league races should be with strict corner cutting. It really does separate the men from the boys, and it really does show people. Oh, and Paul McGuinness is losing positions. He's off the circuit. He's damaged his front wing. Where are you, my friend? You are hemorrhaging positions. I believe he's probably lost it coming out of the left-right chicane. Whether he's made contact or he's lost it all by himself, I'm not too sure. He's got a badly damaged front wing, so he's either going to hobble around with that into his pit stop, or he's going to have to pit at the end of this lap and change his strategy. But it's a shame for Paul McGuinness. He was running up in 4th place, chasing Tough to Handle. But his race is now severely compromised, and he'll be hoping for a safety car, as will the 2 Mercedes drivers as well, to get themselves back in the race. Spaghetti Chips in. He's Tough to Handle. Now starting to close on him a little bit. That gap, I think a lap ago, was around about 1.2, 1.3. That's now being halved. And Minky Morris is keeping him honest as well, as is Flexi. And LMC Vettel is with him. Lego doing a great job now in 7th place. He's pulled a little bit of a gap over Ginger Andy in 8th, Owen Wyatt and Konzo in 9th and 10th. EFC Matthew down in 12th place, picks up a 3-second time penalty. And midfield again, still very close, very competitive. Good to see. I don't like seeing the field too massively spread out. Of course, the 3 guys at the back. As you can imagine, if all, I think 20 boys had a spin, Nigel and Paul have had to make a pit stop to replace damage. So now it's time to look at tyres. Oh, and that's the Sauber there of Owen White, just making contact with the outside wall. And of course the halo gets in the way, so I can't tell if he's got any damage on the front right. I'm going to guess he's probably got a bit of end plate damage. Oh, he's lost it again. Oh, and he's in the wall. And Owen White loses it coming out of the left-right chicane and plants that Sauber heavily into the wall. He'll be kicking himself for that. That is a poor mistake to make. Lap 4 then, we lose another driver. Great to be on board with it, to be honest with you, but it's a shame for Owen White then. He's out of the race, and that's 2 retirements already. Might bring out a safety car or a virtual safety car, but yeah. Big shame for Owen White then, just pushing too hard coming out the corner. As I said before in qualifying, you know, if you take too much of that curve, it just unsettles the back end. It starts to bounce around, the grip goes away, and you try to recover, and sometimes it can just, yeah, well, it can do that, which is unfortunately spat the Sauber to the other side of the circuit, put it in the wall, and his race is over. EFC Matthew in the pits. He has a 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane as well, so his race is going from bad to worse. And someone else did pick up a 3-second time penalty, but not too sure who that was. Be expecting quite a few drivers, to be honest, to pick up 1 or 2 penalties. There might be a few out there that can keep it squeaky clean. Martin Gasly will be certainly one of them. 3 seconds ahead now. Oh, and tough to handle. Is now caught right up to Spaghetti Chips then. So Spaghetti Chips may be struggling on them ultra soft tyres. Of course, there might be slightly different wear rates depending on the setups and the driving style of these drivers. Through the left right then we saw Owen White spack it into the wall a lap ago. DRS, of course, lap 5. It's been enabled since the beginning of lap 3. This isn't really an opportunity to overtake. As you saw, he only closed up a little bit. The best opportunity for Tough to Handle will probably be into turn 3, to be honest. You've got yellow flags in sector 3. LMC, oh, Flexi's losing positions, and so is LMC Vettel, who's had a spin. So I can only guess that those two have made contact. That now promotes Lego into 5th place. Lego's in 5th. Oh, we've got a Red Bull going slowly as well. What's happened here? Ricky Murris is going slow on the inside of the final corner. We've got an absolute gaggle of cars here coming down the main straight. And we've got Ginger Andy up the inside of Ricky Murris as well. He's going through. So for whatever reason, Ricky Murris losing time in the final 2 corners. Lego up to 5th place. Meanwhile, these two are battling at turn 3. I said this would be the place to do it for Tough to Handle. He's the quicker driver out of these two at this present time. And he's managed to make the move stick. Going into turn 3. Meanwhile, oh, there's more position changes. Oh, and look at this. Rinky Morris and Ginger Andy are off into the kitty litter at turn 3. Ginger Andy, I think, has managed to recover, but Rinky Morris is still doing donuts in the gravel. And MC Vettel's made a pit stop, so Rinky Morris then, he has been in the wars in the last 30 seconds or so. Ginger Andy has recovered to 10th. Car appears intact. Rinky Morris, let's have a look at his front wing. His tyres will be very dirty, of course. Yeah, it looks like he's got a little bit of end plate damage on the front right. So yeah, some of these drivers now starting to make mistakes. Could be down to just overly aggressive driving. It could be the first race of the season. You know, the adrenaline's pumping. The stakes are high, and or it could just be down to tyre wear. You never know. I'm in lap 6 now. Some of these guys on the ultra soft tyres will start to be thinking about their first and potentially only pit stop. There's a possibility here that Lego could potentially lead this race once the top 3 make their pit stop. So Gasly then now on lap 7. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3. Just looking to see if we've got a position change. Yeah, Rinky Morris is losing another position. Flexi in the pits then. And Rinky Morris has had yet another spin. He started in 3rd, and by lap 7, and he's called it a day. He has retired from the session, which is, you probably shouldn't really do that on the circuit. To be honest with you, it can be distracting for other drivers. But Rinky Morris has decided that the problems he's been experiencing for the last couple of laps have pushed him over the edge, and he has called it a night. Flexi then coming out of the pits in 11th place behind his teammate. Nigel, I think, might get the jump on him. He does indeed. In the background, we've got MC Vettel and EFC Matthew. They're in close formation on 13th, or for 13th and 14th. And they remain that way for now. Paul McGuinness in 15th, 20 Boy a long way back in 16th. But Gasly still leads then, lap 7. 3.5 seconds ahead of Tough to Handle, who's now dropped Spaghetti Chips. A little bit of a lag there showing on the McLaren driver. Hopefully that calms itself down. Lego running an absolutely fantastic 4th place, taking a little bit of dirt and curb there on the exit of the left-right. But a very impressive run so far by the reserve driver. LMC Bookster defending from Konzo. These guys here, 4th, 5th and 6th, they're all on the super soft tyres. EVR Matt on the soft tyres. He's up 11 places from his qualifying position. FTRL Panini from the back of the field, now up into 9th place. And Ginger Andy then still running the ultra soft tyres, back in 10th place after the off-track excursion in instant with Rinky Morris. We've got positions here, Flexi and Nigel going into battle. Flexi manages to make the move, and I think LMC Vettel and EFC Matthew had a bit of a moment as well at the chicane. Seems to be quite a lot of action there at the left-right. EVR Matt picks up a 3-second time penalty rather than help his calls in 7th place. So lap 8 then, Lightning Gasly still leads, pulling away from Tough to Handle. In fact, the gap's sort of maintaining around the 4-second mark, but Spaghetti Chips certainly the slower of the 3 drivers. Ginger Andy then makes his pit stop. He'll be looking to potentially go on to the soft tyres. Oh, and coming back out again, and he is indeed on the soft tyres. So like I said, those starting inside the top 10 will be looking to go ultra softs to the soft tyres. You might come into a bit of threat here from LMC Vettel down the run to turn 3. In fact, Ginger Andy sticks in the middle of the road, and Vettel's going to try us round the outside. Oh, this will be a move. He's had to back out of it. Ginger Andy just gave him a little bit of a squeeze there. That would have been an impressive move there from Vettel if he managed to pull that off round the outside. He will give chase, and EFC Matthew is there hanging on as well. Nigel back up to 11th place for now. In fact, EFC Matthew and Vettel, I think EFC Matthew and who had the problem there, because EFC Matthew's managed to get past both of them. So my guess would be EFC Matthew and or LMC Vettel and Ginger Andy possibly had a moment which slowed both of them down, and EFC Matthew said thank you very much, I'll move up 2 positions. Tough to Handle then from 2nd place now in the pits. He's going on the super soft tyres. That's a strange call. Maybe he didn't get the memo saying that you can do ultras onto the softs, or maybe his ultras are burning up a lot quicker than all of the other guys. But he's now at a disadvantage. 20 laps out Australia on a set of super soft tyres is, to put it lightly, difficult. I'm not going to say it's impossible, because I've seen some amazing strategy calls that have worked out before, but I'm going to say it is difficult. So maybe he's planning on doing maybe 10 laps on the supers, and then maybe going on to another set of supers, or I'm not too sure what tyres he's chosen. But yeah, it's a strange one there. Lap 9 onto the super softs. You would think that, 20 laps to go, he should be able to look after the soft tyres, but maybe he's going for something different, or maybe he knows something we don't. But anyway, the Williams driver rejoins in 9th place, 3 seconds behind FTRL Panini and LMC Vettel in the pits then. Currently down in 16th place and last. Konzo just 2 tenths away from LMC Boogster. Oh, that was close in the braking zone. Konzo at the inside. Oh, contact, and round goes the Williams. The room wasn't really there. He wasn't alongside as fairly as I would say. He had a front wing and a bit of a tyre. He wasn't nowhere near alongside, and I think LMC Boogster was entirely within his right to turn in there, as Gasly, our race leader, makes a pit stop, as does Spaghetti Chips from 2nd place. And that does then, as I said, promote Lego into the lead. So he'll be enjoying this then, the reserve driver. And he's got a good gap as well over LMC Boogster behind, 4 seconds. So Lego could be springing a little bit of a surprise here. I assume that he'll be pitting within the next, 3 or 4 laps and going for the soft tyres. He might be taking these super softs long and maybe going for the ultras. We'll have to wait and see. But Lego then up into the lead. LMC Boogster in 2nd, EVR Matt in 3rd. All 3 of these drivers yet to make a pit stop, as have Konzo as well. And Lightning Gasly rejoins then in 5th place on a set of super soft tyres. So another strange call there. So the top 4, or 5 of the top 6 yet to make their first pit stop. Poor old LMC Vettel has been in twice. So the tyres will bring up then, and a nice little information graphic we have here for F1 2018. It not only tells us what tyres they're on, but how many laps they've completed as well, which will come quite interesting towards the end of the race. And when we see some of the guys on better, fresher tyres start to hunt down those on tyres that are starting to cry enough. We've got yellow flags in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Nigel has had a moment. He's got no front wing. This is being a poor race for the Mercedes driver. In fact, the Mercedes team. So he's lost it somewhere, or he's had an incident with someone. Yeah, you're going to be understeering, my friend. You can't take that corner flat out anymore. You've got to crawl back to the pits and fix that car. And Nigel is just thinking, oh, why me? Why tonight? It's only lap 11. I've got to do another 18 laps before this race is over. I just want it to end now. And he'll be back in the pits then to go for another set of tyres and fix that front wing. But yeah, it's been a poor race for Mercedes all round. But Lego leads 4.8 seconds ahead of Boogster. EVR Matt rounds off the top 3. Konzo in 4th, and Gasly, the first driver that's made a pit stop, in 5th place, right up behind the Williams driver. In fact, looks like Gasly's going to try it around the outside here. Locks up the front right. Superior grip advantage. See you later, he says. Although Konzo's going to hang it around the outside here. Oh, Gasly gives him a bit of a squeeze. There was almost a bit of contact there. Great helicopter shot here as well. Just watching Konzo there. His teammate is going to be catching him as well. Conzo isn't going to put up too much of a fight, I don't think, against Gasly. I think Gasly's quicker than him this race anyway on pure pace, and we know that Gasly's got much fresher tyres. But Gasly then up to 4th place at the moment, 4.3 seconds away from EVR Matt, as Nigel then pits from 15th to fix that front wing. So then, Flexi's Force India continues to pound round in 8th place. We've got a bit of a lull at the moment in the race. Obviously, strategies are now starting to play a part. Most of the field have already made their one and only pit stop. You can see a handful of drivers there on the soft tyres. LMC Vettel sets the fastest lap down in 15th place, so 1:24.2. I think Spaghetti Chips actually in 7th place set the previous fastest lap just a lap ago on the soft tyres. We've got the top four of the top 5 yet to make their one and only pit stop. The rest of the field hopefully have made their one pit stop, but we'll have to keep an eye on Lightning Gasly. Super soft tyres, 2 laps completed so far as Boogster comes into the pits in. Let's see what tyres he puts on. Oh, sorry, I just literally moved away there as Ginger Andy was up the inside of VFC Mafia, so I do apologise for that. But the Force India driver up into 9th place past the Renault. So we'll have a look at Boogster, see what tyres he's gone on. Set of softs. It is a set of softs. He's just going to come out right ahead of Flexi here. He's probably going to get a nice little run, actually. Oh, Ginger Andy's losing positions. We'll cut to him quickly. Oh, this isn't going well for you, is it, my friend? Dirt on the tyres. Yeah, the rear tyres are going to be overheating. You've got to cool them down before you can think about going maximum attack again. We'll come up to Flexi then, because he would have had a nice run through turn 1 and turn 2, but I think Boogster's already got the tyres up to temperature. He's going to get another run here. Oh, Flexi extends though, picks up a 3-second penalty. Oh, almost taps the back of the Ferrari as well. Flexi's tyres, 6 laps old. Boogster's just come out the pits. Could be one to keep an eye on though. Another. Oh, and there's a Red Bull in the wall. Is that Gasly? Gasly's hit the wall coming out of turn 11 and 12. Oh no, our race leader is now... Oh, he's going to have to pit. He's going to have to pit for a new front wing, I think. He's got a badly damaged front left there. I just jumped on board, I think, with EVR Matt. Or possibly Conzo. Just see a Red Bull there in the distance. I knew straight away it was Gasly, because his teammate is out of the race. And unfortunately, our race leader has had an absolute disaster class here. And he's going to probably have to pit. He is. So then, the guy that was the favourite to take this race win is now making an unscheduled second pit stop. He's going to lose more time as well fixing that front wing. Unbelievable scenes here then. This has now completely thrown the race wide open. Super soft tyres for 15 laps. Should be okay now. Front wing. Oh, it's an age. He's in the pits for an age. You can just see himself tumbling down the order. You see Matthew's going to get the jump on him. Is he going to come out ahead of these guys? I don't think so. I think Luke, Paul McGuinness, Panini, they're all going to jump him. Lightning Gasly down into 12th place. Possibly even Ginger Andy might get past him as well. So Gasly then. Oh, soft tyres it's showing, so it was a bit of a visual glitch I got there in the pit lane. And Ginger Andy is going to get a run. Round the outside down into turn 3. Gasly will stick with him though at the inside, just locks up the front right. Squeezes Ginger Andy off the circuit a little bit, but the Scotsman in the Force India is going to say, oh, I'm not having any of that, mate. I want this position and I'm going to take it. And he does so indeed. So Gasly then, our pole man, our initial race leader. Oh, and there's a bit of carbon fibre bouncing around there. I think Gasly's just made contact with the back of Ginger Andy. Difficult to see. But they're as close as you like. Ginger Andy defends the inside, gives him a bit of a squeeze in the braking zone. With yellow flags somewhere as well. Nigel has called it a day. I'm not surprised by that. His race has really fallen apart. But here's Gasly then up the inside, and this long curving left-hander. So left, right up ahead now. She's got the inside, but Ginger Andy will hold it. Oh, absolutely fantastic defensive driving there from the Force India. He's having none of this. This is a great battle for 12th place. Oh, there's a late move up the inside. Oh, possible contact there. He's pushed the Force India wide. And these guys are really going for it, really going for it. They're not giving an inch but a quarter. And up the inside again, the old switchback into the left-hander, second to last corner. But again, Ginger Andy inside for the final corner. This is fantastic. This is the best battle I've seen so far, but it's not even for a points position. And Ginger Andy squeezes the Red Bull over to the pit wall. That's Schumacher Barrichello-esque, down into turn one. Gasly retakes that 12th place then into turn one. But will Ginger Andy have a run back at him coming down into three? He's in the slipstream. Is he going to think about a late move? He is. It's a dive bomb up the inside. Is he outbroken himself? I think he has. Yeah, Ginger Andy got a bit over ambitious there. And unfortunately, he thought he could go back through. But as soon as he made the move, I knew it wasn't going to stick. And he's outbraked himself, run wide. And that very entertaining battle for 12th now does end. But great action there between them. So then we'll come back to our race leader, EVR Matt. See how he's getting on. Our new race leader, 14 laps completed on the soft tyres, 15 laps now, so he's yet to make his first pit stop. Konzo still running the super soft tyres as Tough to Handle comes through, and I think Konzo probably just lifted off there a little bit to allow his teammate through. I've not got a problem with that. They're running different strategies. Konzo still has to pit, Tough to Handle doesn't, and it looks like then that Tough to Handle is going to be the de facto race leader once the Renault of EVR Matt politely gets out of his way in the next couple of laps. Spaghetti Chips will then, oh look at this, is Lego up the inside of Spaghetti Chips. I joined that battle relay, but I'm glad I did. Around the outside for 4. And Lego on a fresher set of soft tyres now moves past the McLaren driver. Oh, Spaghetti Chips. Oh, that was close. He just managed to control it. So looking at the order at the moment, I think it's Tough to Handle that's going to be the de facto race leader. Lego will be in second place. Spaghetti Chips into third. And even Flexi will be up into fourth place because he will jump both Konzo and EVR Matt once they make a pit stop. And unfortunately, our race leader picks up a 3-second time penalty. I don't believe that's his first. LMC Bookster in seventh. EFC Matthew 8th. Lucky Luke in 9th, and FTRL Panini and Paul McGuinness going into a bit of a battle there. Panini takes the final points position. Paul McGuinness has been on them soft tyres already for 12 laps. So I think some of these guys, apart from the guys in first and third, I think everyone can possibly get to the end as EVR Matt now does come into the pits. And EFC Matthew, his teammate, picks up a 3-second time penalty somewhere. I think EFC Matthew possibly can get to the end. Possibly. You've got yellow flags in sector 3. Oh, Paul McGuinness is out. What's happened there? Oh, he's hit the wall. We'll jump on board with his fellow countryman on the right hand side there. You'll see the Haas in the wall, so a carbon copy of what Owen White did earlier on in this race, and another victim then of the turn 11, turn 12. I think it's 11 and 12. Roast me in the comments if I am wrong. As LMC Vettel comes through there. There's the car on the right hand side. So we lost 5 drivers then. And Tough to Handle now leads this race from his teammate. It's a Williams 1-2 at the moment, but of course Konzo still needs to make a pit stop. And FTRL Panini now picks up a 3-second time penalty. So Lego then, our reserve driver, currently will be running in second place because he's catching Konzo at a fast rate of knots, which would be expected. Konzo has done over half the race now on a set of super soft tyres, so he's done very well to keep the pace up and keep out of trouble. Oh, 3-second time penalty vote. That might hurt him because Spaghetti Chips is only 2 seconds away, and I don't think I've seen his name pop up. So your top 3 at the moment, then Tough to Handle, Lego and Spaghetti Chips. Of course, I'm waiting for Konzo to make a pit stop, and you could possibly be making one at the end of this lap. He might be going for supers onto ultras because he was going for the soft tyres. He would have pitted several laps to go to get the best life out of them. And indeed, Konzo does come into the pits then. We'll jump on board then with the Williams driver. Slows down to, I think it's 35 or 36 mile an hour. And Lightning Gasly's evening gets worse with a 3-second time penalty. We also have yellow flags in sector 3. Konzo is going for the ultra soft tyres, and I think Lightning Gasly is losing positions again. Oh, Lightning Gasly's off the track again, and it's the left-right chicane then that's causing issue for people. Here comes 20 Boy, and Gasly just politely steps out of his way And I think Gasly is going to be kicking himself for that as he demolishes an advertising hoarding and also almost makes contact with the wall. And he's off the circuit again, spinning the car around. Dirty tyres, damaged front wing. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lightning Gasly retire from the session in a second. The car is stationary on the circuit. He's still going for now, but he's down in 14th place. And Gasly, unfortunately, then probably everyone's pick to take the race win and called it. He's retired from the session. So 13 drivers left then. The MC Vettel is hoping that a few more fall out of the way so he can pick up a much needed point. So Tough to Handle then now leads this race, lap 18 of 29. 9 laps completed on the soft tyres without showing super softs. So GG Codemasters yet again. Yellow flags in sector 1. That could be for absolutely anyone. At this stage we seem to be losing drivers at a vast rate of knots at the moment. Flexi is in a battle with Bookster over 4th and 5th. And if Flexi can stay with him, that'll be a good achievement because he's already done 11 laps on the soft tyres. Keep an eye on, of course, EVR Matt, who is in 6th place at the moment. Just made his pit stop onto the super soft tyres, and Konzo as well, who's up behind the sister Renault car. He's on the ultra soft tyres, so it'll be interesting to watch Konzo's progress. I think he can get past DFC Matthew relatively easy, probably even down into turn 1. On board then with the Williams driver. Now we'll switch to the Renault just to see Konzo go through. And I don't think EFC Matthew will have a hope in hell of staying with the Williams driver. We'll probably see a few fastest laps flash up soon as well from Konzo. So he's 8.5 seconds away from EVR Matt, who's on a fresh set of super softs. So I don't think that gap will close anytime soon. And EVR Matt can sniff blood there, probably seeing on the mini-map just a few seconds up the road. Flexi and Bookster are in a spirited battle over 4th position. They're 7.5 seconds behind Spaghetti Chips, so I think the top 3 pretty much safe where they are. Tough to Handle though, he's done 10 laps on them soft tyres. Lego's only completed 5 and he's within 3 seconds, but Lego does have at least 1 3-second penalty. Not too sure on Tough to Handle. And Paul McGuinness just coming into the stream there saying, oh man, that was horrible, lost the rear end. Yep, it's a similar incident to what happened to Owen and probably Spaghetti Chips a lap or 2 ago. So not Spaghetti Chips, Lightning Gasly a lap or 2 ago. Oh, and Flexi getting as close as you like to the rear wing of that Ferrari. He'll have DRS. Bookster immediately moving over to the right hand side and to try and break the toe, but Flexi says, oh, okay, I see what you're doing, I'll just follow you. We'll jump on board then with the Force India through 1 and 2. Good exit actually for both drivers. Flexi doing a very good job here, staying with the Ferrari on a much older set of soft tyres. Bookster locking up the front right again. Quite obvious to see that he's running with the ABS assist off. Both nice lines through 5. And down to 6. Through 7. Losing a 10th or 2 here with the dirty air. Now into 8, tight right-hander, sausage curb, keep away from that. 9, you want to stay away from that curb as well because it will spin up the rear tyres in the low traction. Now through the long left-hander then. Having this infamous left-right that's been catching so many drivers out. And with that dirty air that Flexi is picking up, he's had to drop all the way down into 5th place. So Spaghetti at the moment, Spaghetti Chips I should say. 4.5 seconds away from Lego. But 7.5 ahead of Bookster, so he's probably going to be just focusing on his own race, trying to keep it nice and clean. Lego in 2nd place, taking a 10th out of Tough to Handle at the moment. So what we'll do then, we'll bring up, what is it we can do? We can do something, can't we? What is it? Telemetry enabled. There we go. We can bring up the ERS modes. We can't see the fuel load for whatever reason, but we can bring up the ERS, so you can see there that Tough to Handle at the moment then is currently in ERS mode number 2, the medium, the default setting if you like, and he's trying to save a little bit of energy, 38%. Lego, he's currently turned his ERS off, so he will be harvesting quite a lot of energy at the moment. Back up to number 1 very briefly at the moment. Spaghetti Chips running number 2 with 50% of his ERS. Brookster number 2 with only 22%. Meanwhile, further back, Flexi right behind him. He's got double that as well, so he's in a good position to maybe launch an attack. EVR Matt is catching the pair of them. He's in ERS mode 1 at the moment. He's obviously saving his battery for a bit of a stab along one of the straights to get past one of his guys. Konzo in 7th. He's pushing it in high, ERS mode number 3, and he has 71 to 72% as well, so he can push quite heavily now for a few laps. EFC Matthew in 8th place, 27% ERS, and he is in the medium mode. Lukey Luke, 52% medium, and FTR Pelnini 56% on medium as well. So these guys fairly evenly balanced. And so we've got Flexi and Bookster going into battle here at the right-hander. This is an opportunity. This is a good opportunity here then to see if Flexi can now pull away. Now he's got past the Ferrari, and behind him we have EVR Matt, of course, on a very fresh set of super soft tyres. So he's caught these guys, but of course, as the famous Murray Walker used to say, catching is one thing, passing is completely another. And those super soft tyres that have completed 5 laps are probably on the same sort of tyre wear cycle as a 9-lap old set of soft tyres. But Flexi then, 15 laps done now on them soft tyres. He should be comfortable getting them to the end. It's a good little battle here for 4th, 5th and 6th. Meanwhile at the front, Lego has now brought that gap down to under 2 seconds from tough to handle. So I don't look at the race director. Maybe some commentators in other tiers or other leagues do. I don't look at the race director to see how many penalties or warnings that several drivers have. I like to leave it for the end to get a little surprise. I do know that Lego has at least one 3-second penalty. I don't think I've seen tough to handle's name pop up. Anyone watching, if they can, tell me yes or no if his name has popped up at some point, do let me know. But at the moment, Lego then now just a second and a half away as we remain focused on this battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. I think Lego's got an opportunity to potentially catch tough to handle with about 4 laps to go, 4 or 5 laps to go, and could maybe make a move for the lead. There's a fresh set of soft tyres, of course, but only 5 lap difference between them, so Lego needs to catch, pass and pull away. So Flexi then 6 tenths ahead of Bookster. He's got past him, but isn't exactly pulling away. And here comes EVR Matt then, up into ERS mode number 4. Will Bookster defend? The answer is no. EVR Matt up the inside. Should be a decent move. I think there might have been a little bit of contact between them. Bookster's forced onto the grass. But EVR Matt moves up into 5th place. And he will now give chase to Flexi ahead in 4th. We'll have a look at Lego then. And there is our race leader. This is it then. This is the battle for the lead. But I think that penalties will possibly change it at the end. It could change the order completely inside the top 10 because there's a few good battles out there. Obviously the one for 4th, 5th and 6th. And Lukey Luke in 9th is less than 3 seconds away from EFC Matthew. Ginger Andy down 11th place picks up another 3-second time penalty. So unfortunately the 2 Scottish drivers who started this race in a high position, one of them finds himself down in 11th, the other one unfortunately finds himself in the barrier at turn 12. So then Lego now should be in DRS range. I'm going to take one final quick break here to catch my breath and take a quick sip of water. But do stay with us for the conclusion to round 1 here in ILR3. And what a time to take a drink of water as Lego Minecraft in 2nd place absolutely bins it in the wall coming out of the left-right chicane. I thought, oh, I'm going to miss a bit of action here with the guys in the 4th, 5th and 6th. But look at this. There's the Toro Rosso right there on the side of the track. Front right wheel ripped off that car completely. And Lego then, who was looking to be in a promising position, potentially challenging tough to handle for the lead of this race, creams it into the wall. and our reserve driver will be kicking himself for that. He'd risen well through the field. Let's change the order somewhat. We now have a very tasty battle for the final podium spot between EVR Matt, Flexi and Boogster. So commiserations there then for Lego, and in fact Konzo is absolutely, and Flexi up the inside of EVR Matt into turn 1. This is going to be a very tasty battle for the final 5 laps. Flexi defends the inside, then EVR Matt's got to come back at him round the outside. A little bit of contact there, I think. One of the inside for 4. There's Boogster, and there is Konzo. He's absolutely destroyed that large gap to these guys for the last few laps, and he's gone about his business very, very quietly on them ultra soft tyres as well. I mean, they've done 7 laps now, so they are going to start crying a little bit, but he's got great pace at the moment. Now, of course, he's stuck in traffic. So then, who's going to take the final podium spot? Tough to handle, and Spaghetti Chips look pretty safe and secure in first and second, unless something amazing happens up the head. But we'll jump on board with Konzo, and he can see a podium. He can see a podium ahead of him. The only problem is there's 2 cars separating his 6th place, so that elusive podium spot. Still a bit of debris on the left-hand side of the circuit, thanks to Lego's Toro Rosso creaming into the wall a lap ago. So Konzo then, his heart rate will be racing a little bit. He knows he's on the quicker tyres. He knows he's got good pace as well. Boogster then locking up the left front a little bit. It's not close enough to Matt to try and move, but Matt of course will have DRS. Has Boogster got DRS? He has. We've got yellow flags in sector 3. As Boogster, for whatever reason there, is slowing down to allow Konzo through, as Ginger Andy has retired from the session. Any way of seeing where he is on circuit? Panini is about, sorry, not Panini, Vettel is about 30 seconds back. So I can only assume that Ginger Andy has probably bent it in the wall somewhere. So LMC Vettel then, I said a few laps ago that he'd be praying that a few drivers fall out of the race to give himself a point. He's currently going to be up in that 10th place. A little bit confused as to why Boogster decided to move over to allow Konzo through. Maybe that will be something I'll find out after the race. They're not teammates. They could be friends in real life, I'm not too sure. Or maybe Boogster's pushed these soft tyres too far. Well, 13 laps, no soft tyres. No, they shouldn't be in trouble. EFC Matthews probably in a bit of trouble. 21 laps completed on those, running in 7th place. So yeah, a bit confused as to why Boogster did that. Pulled over to allow Konzo through. As Flexi unfortunately picks up a 3-second time penalty, so you can tell that he is pushing for all his worth then to try and stay ahead. 20 Boy down in 11th place and last, sets the fastest lap of 23.1, and now EFC Matthew picks up a 3-second time penalty. So driving standards starting to slip a little bit. We've seen a couple of retirements in the last few laps, and now we're starting to see quite a few time penalties come up. Oh, and look, EVR Matt really has to get out the throttle coming into the final corner, picking up that dirty air from Flexi ahead. DRSO down into 1 lap, 27 of 29, 3 to go. Top 2 have buggered off. Unless anything amazing happens, tough to handle, and Spaghetti Chips should be finishing in first and second, but the battle for the podium is not over yet. Oh, that's a late move up the inside of EVR Matt. Flexi will not be happy with that at all. That was a dive bomb and a half. The move wasn't really on, to be honest with you. Flexi was well within his right to turn in. And I think EVR Matt has just basically barged his way through there. I think they both got away with no damage. In fact, EVR Matt is just moving over to the right of it. He's realised that I think he's trying to allow Flexi through, but at the same time not lose a position to Konzo behind. Oh, and I think he might have tagged the back of Flexi as he was doing that, and Konzo has now managed to make it through into 4th place. I think EVR Matt, that was a mess, wasn't it really? EVR Matt made an impossible dive bomb down at turn 3 and punted poor old Flexi out of the way, and then EVR Matt probably realised, yeah, that was a bit naughty for me, I should do the right thing and let him back through, and unfortunately he's lost out to Konzo as well. So Konzo then being let through by Boogster, and has passed Matt after the Renault driver made a mistake, and now Konzo is sniffing a podium here. As Lego comes into the chat to call himself a bottle. Yep, bit of a bottle job that. You were looking good for a podium in your first ILR3 race, but meanwhile Konzo, DRS, Flexi's got to defend the inside. 2 laps to go then. Can Konzo do this around the outside? He's not going to be able to do it. The Force India squeezes him over to the side. And Flexi will defend the inside. He absolutely has to. He cannot leave the inside open because Konzo will just sail through. Flexi very late on the brakes, as is Konzo as well. EVR Matt still there fighting. Boogster hanging on as well in the 6th place. Call it now. Answers in the postcard. Who's going to take the third place? Because it really is open. All four of them pushing the track limits, and then some as well coming through 5. And Konzo 10 laps completed now on the ultra soft tyres, but Flexy's done 21 on the softs. If he manages to keep into just jumping on board of Bookster, then it looked like he was trying a move. EVR Matt's struggling a little bit, I think, on them super softs. But Flexy, 21 laps completed on the soft tyres. That is a good achievement. 23 for EFC Matthew as well. Penultimate lap then for these guys. I will switch to the race leaders at some point, don't worry. We will see them cross the line, but it's a bit pointless watching Tough to Handle and Spaghetti Chips in the final lap for now, because this is the battle on track. Lukey Luke is a second and a half away from EFC Matthew in their little battle for 7th and 8th, but this is the main battle on circuit then. Flexi, Konzo, EVR Matt, LMC Bookster. Who is going to take the third place? I've absolutely no idea. Flexi has driven an absolutely fantastic race. His 150th ILR race as well. Defends the inside into the final lap, down to turn 1. Konzo marginally ahead, but Flexi will fight this. He'll fight this as much as he can, but Konzo completes the move late on the brakes around the outside. Flexi, he's got to go for it here at turn 3 if he wants any chance to get back in it, but he thinks better of it. Konzo parks the car in the middle of a circuit, and I think unfortunately Flexi's opportunity to get on the podium may very well be over now. Konzo should pull away, and EVR Matt is busy defending from Bookster, where are the leaders. Tough to Handle just completing sector 2. So we'll come back to him in about 10 seconds time. Konzo then should have this third place locked down then, and it'll be a good weekend for Williams, first and third. Almost the perfect race for them. But Spaghetti Chips, we haven't seen much of Spaghetti Chips, but he's, as far as I know, kept it out of trouble. A lot has happened in 29 laps. He could have caused many incidents at the start. I simply can't remember. But Tough to Handle then, coming into the final corner. Gifted the win, I feel, somewhat due to Lightning Gasly's crash. But he's weaving from left to right, and the Williams driver becomes our first winner of ILR3 this season. Picks up the 25 points. Congratulations to him. Spaghetti Chips, second place. He'll be delighted with the 18 points, and it should be Konzo that will pick up third. Penalties haven't changed anything with the two leaders. Will it change anything here? Konzo coming up to the line, moves over to the pit wall, celebrates with the team. He takes third, Flexi 4th, EVR Matt 5th, Bookster in 6th, and in fact Bookster has been promoted all the way to 4th place. Flexi and EVR Matt with their time penalties. So it's Konzo that will take the final podium spot. EFC Matthew across the line in 7th, Lukey Luke just behind, jumps him due to penalties. And now we wait for FTRL Panini, quiet race from the Toro Rosso driver, haven't seen much of him. He's going to be crossing the line in a lowly 9th place and remains in 9th place. And LMC Vettel then, just 3.5 seconds ahead of 20 Boy. But LMC Vettel will be grateful that he's managed to pick up a point. He's had a bit of a horror show this race, and we should be expecting to see a bit more from this Ferrari driver as the season goes on. But I think he'll be relieved to at least come away with a point, because 10 laps ago it was looking like he was going to be trundling around in 13th or 14th. At the final corner then for the Ferrari driver, his teammate has claimed 4th. And Vettel claims 10th place and 1 point. 20 Boy event, our final classified finisher in 11th. So congratulations then to Tough to Handle, our race winner. Spaghetti Chips in 2nd and Konzo in 3rd. Raises a trophy high, and he'll be hoping he can do much more of that this season as he kickstarts his potential championship charge with the maximum points here at Australia, 25. He leads the championship. Williams, of course, with 40 points, with 15 points for Konzo, lead the constructors, and they'll be very happy with their evening's work. So in the final classification, just to get everything into order, majority of the field went for the 1 stop. LMC Vettel has said, poor show, 3 stops, but he picks up a point. So it's Tough to Handle that wins the race then, 5.7 seconds ahead of Spaghetti Chips. Konzo completes the podium. The top 3 got away with the race penalty free. LMC Bookster, by dint of Flexi in EVR Matt picking up more penalties, inherits 4th. Lukey Luke in 7th place, he's kept it clean as well, hats off to him. 14 seconds for EFC Matthew in 8th. FTRL Panini in 9th, LMC Vettel in 10th. And 20 Boy was our final classified finisher. We lost Ginger Andy, Lego Minecraft, Lightning Gasly, Paul McGuinness, Nigel, Rinky Lewis, Owen Wyatt, and the main aspect. But do stay with us as I'll get the top 3 in for a quick podium interview. So then all three drivers have now joined me for a quick podium interview, which is nice to see. Someone has their mic on. If you wouldn't mind just muting it, I can hear my voice in the background. It's very distracting. So then you guys, not too sure if you've done podium interviews before or not, but before we start, if you could just go to the party settings and make sure you've allowed your voice to be shared. Otherwise we're going to have some embarrassing silent moments in the interviews. I'll give you a few seconds to do that before we start with the questions.
Yep, got it.
Lovely, all good to hear then. Right, we'll come to our race winner then. Tough to handle for the Williams team. First of all, congratulations, you've won the first race for season, therefore lead the championship, and with Conzo in third place as well. Williams team lead the constructors. First question first. Do you feel a bit lucky to have won the race? Because Lightning Gasly set, pole position, started to pull away at the front, made his pit stop. He was several seconds in the lead, looked like he was going to regain the lead, but then unfortunately he decided to bin it in the wall a few times and retire. Do you think that if he was still out there on circuit, you would have had the pace in the second half of the race to maybe challenge? Or were you already, looking at his lap times and thinking, yeah, all I can do is just aim for second? Yeah, exactly. Both Lightning Gasly and Lego lost it in the long left-right chicane coming into Sector 3, which proved quite a challenge for most of the drivers tonight. Did you struggle at any point with that quick part of the circuit in either qualifying in a race, or was maybe your driving style, your setup quite suited to take them corners at quite a high speed and you didn't have any problems with the back end? Because quite a few drivers lost the race at those two corners. Yeah, and to be honest, as long as you keep it clean, you'll always be on for a good result. Obviously, winning the first race puts you in the lead of the championship, so congratulations for that. Have you worked out where your pace is already in ILR3? We've had a few pre-season races and now obviously the first official race for season. Do you see potentially challenging for podiums and win as the season goes on, or do you think this was just a bit of a flash in the pan, like Australia is a strong track for you? And where do you think potentially you could be in the championship? Do you see yourself as a midfield runner, or do you think you have a good chance at taking home the Drivers' Championship at the end of the season? Yep, exactly. My thoughts completely. Get a good setup on the car, get comfortable with the car, get quick on the track, and who knows what might happen as the season goes on. But congratulations, you're our first winner of a brand new season in ILR3. Enjoy the 25 points and thank you for your answers. That takes me on to our second place driver, Spaghetti Chips. Spaghetti Chips, first of all, best PSN username in the world. I've said it once or twice and will continue to do so. We didn't see a lot of you during the race because for most of it you were sort of on your own. You had several seconds to everyone around you. The first few laps were of course quite intense with everyone around you, but you sort of knuckled down, stuck to the strategy and sort of just brought the car home in 18 points. Was it a boring race for you or was there a lot going on? And obviously, you know, with the tyres, as Tough to Handle said, you know, on 2018 the tyres are really tricky. You have to get them right, otherwise you're absolutely nowhere. Was it a bit of a challenge for you to make sure the strategy worked?
Well, firstly, I don't think it... Well, actually, it was kind of a boring race at some parts, but some points of the race I was absolutely enjoying it, being in the positions where I could get a podium potentially. And when I saw Gasly and also Lego go out, okay, for them, sad for them, but for me, I thought it was pretty good. And the tyres, what can I say? Pretty easy, except for one bin where Tough to Handle probably gained about 4 or 5 seconds on me when I kind of crashed out of turn 4. But I didn't get any damage.
Yeah, just as well you didn't, otherwise Konzo might have had you for second place. I mean, obviously you say that, you know, it's as Tough to Handle said as well, it's disappointing to see with like Gasly and Lego and you feel sorry for him for crashing out. But I know deep down, as an ex-racer myself, when you are in third place and you see the second guy crash out, you think, oh yes, great, he's binned it, that's a few more points for me. So yeah, commiserations to those guys, but I know deep down you're happy that they did retire because obviously it gave you a better position. The same question to you that I answered to Tough to Handle. I know it's early days. Have you sort of found your footing in ILR3? Obviously this is your first time in this tier. It is always being ultra competitive. Are you finding it not so much a struggle, but you know, if you're going to have a good race and a good qualifying position, you have to like absolutely nail the lap. You know, if you make a mistake in your qualifying lap, you're going to be down the order. Are you finding that pressure already start to come to you where you think, right, okay, if I'm going to have a good race, I have to be absolutely perfect. Anything less than that and I'll be nowhere near the top 3?
Well, firstly, I think I'm not secure anywhere in ILR3. I think personally I'm a midfield runner. The Australian Grand Prix I practice so much, like probably too much, and I've probably forgot a bit of homework due to it. But I think personally, if I qualify in the midfield, I'll probably stay in the midfield. If I qualify near the top, I hopefully, if I don't bin it, probably will stay nearish to the top.
Well, one of the things I've always said in years gone by commentating, that consistency is key. You don't have to be the quickest in every race. You just have to be there and thereabouts, rack up the points as the season goes on. I've seen people win titles without winning a race before in the entire season. So all you've got to do is keep it clean. Keep yourself focused, do the homework and the practice that you said you've been doing, and who knows, you might find yourself getting quicker and more comfortable and more competitive as the season goes on. But as for a first race in ILR3, fantastic job to take home a second place. Great qualifying, great race. You can't really be disappointed with how it's turned out.
Thank you very much for that. I'm pretty happy with that, and on to the next one.
Indeed, hopefully in the next race or in a few more races after this we'll be able to talk to you again. Thank you for joining for the interviews and thank you for your answers. That brings me on into our third place finisher, Konzo. Thank you for being patient and waiting whilst I talk to the other two. Great final few laps there. You came from absolutely nowhere. I said I think on the stream I was about 6-7 seconds back. He might run out of tyre life. He might run out of laps to do it. But the guys, you know, Flexi, Boogster and I think it was EVR Matt as well, correct me if I'm wrong, they were scrapping quite hard over the final podium spot, which meant that you were able to catch up as well. Boogster let you through on the start-finish line. That's my first question. Were you aware of that? Was this a pre-race agreement? Were you quite surprised by that? Because he literally just pulled over and let you through. I assume you were as surprised as I was.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised at the time. I'm not going to lie. But and it was earlier in the race, we had a bit of contact. It kind of got a bit close, so I don't know if he squeezed me or I dived optimist. I was pretty optimistic going up the inside, but a bit of contact happened. Thankfully, I kept it at the wall and then kind of just kept on going. because I put myself on the back foot after a poor qualifying, really, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm aware of you in other league racing in the few years gone by, so it's no surprise to see you on the podium for the first race in ILR3. Were you expected to be, this high up? Again, first race of the season, the same question I asked the other two drivers as well. Have you managed to find your footing yet in ILR3? Are you still learning the drivers? Because, of course, when you come up against so many different drivers that you may or may not have raced before, you're not too sure what the racecraft is. There's some drivers out there will be early breakers, some that will like a cheeky dive bomb. There'll be others that are quite aggressive with their driving style. And it's difficult to try and work out how every driver acts in different situations. Are you finding that already, even after the first race, that some drivers, they'll be a bit unpredictable of what they do when they're in heavy traffic or battling, the likes of you or other people, as you saw towards the end?
Well, for me, that was the first race. I was running no assists. So the only thing I had on was the racing line, so it was pretty difficult for me. All things considered, I did think I was maybe, if I can get my qualifying right, which I didn't, but if I knew I had race pace, and I thought top 5, I'd be happy with that. It was just difficult managing the battery and everything in the race. So obviously racing with other guys as well that I don't really know very well. That was a challenge in itself, to be honest. But there was some good battles out there and good clean racing. There definitely was.
Yeah, it's always difficult to judge, as you said, about everyone's driving styles, and you'll learn that as you do more races with these guys, as will all the others in ILR3. I'm not just singling you out here as well. Initial pace, obviously, you said you were disappointed if you're qualifying, but you had strong race pace. Some drivers will be quite strong in qualifying and always be towards the front and then fade off in the race, whilst others are quite poor in the 1 lap pace, but can make it last long distance. Where do you sort of see your strengths and weaknesses? Are you a quick qualifier and a poor racer, or is it vice versa? Or are you sort of in the middle? You're sort of there and thereabouts in both 1 lap pace and also long distance racing.
I do see myself as more of a race pace kind of guy, to be honest. Qualifying, as you said, you've probably known me a couple of years ago when I raced in the front row racing, but I never qualified well in there at all. But in the races, I always could hook it together and keep consistent. So that's what I've always been good at. And today, again, to be fair, I was pretty consistent, even on the ultra softs at the end. They were quite worn. I was kind of struggling with rear tyre wear still, but towards the end, I managed to keep myself going. Thankfully, didn't overheat them, so managed to gain 3rd place in the end.
Yeah, and that'd be my final question for you. And obviously, going long in the first stint, and then managing to go onto the ultra soft tyres, which I thought you would have been doing. If you wanted to go for the softs, you would have done it several laps previous to make sure you get the best sort of performance out of the soft tyres. But going on to the ultra soft, was that a risk for you? Did you go into this race with a strategy in mind after the qualifying session, or was this something you'd already planned out already, or was you literally just winging it, sort of speak, lap to lap, and see how far you can take the previous set of tyres, and maybe think, actually, if I eke these out, I can go onto the ultra soft tyres and push like mad towards the end?
Originally, my plan was to be in the ultra softs, qualify in the top 10, and go into the softs and go to the end. However, obviously, I had a poor qualifying, so I decided to kind of wing it a little bit, go in the super softs, go as long as I can, and then go in the ultras, and hopefully I can gain a few places at the end. So thankfully, it worked out well. Albeit it helped people kind of crashing into that chicane in the second sector quite a lot. It was just the curb on the left-hand side. Everybody was catching. It catches people out all the time. But I'll just a quick shout out. Good race from a teammate. Obviously, he done the job in qualifying, putting it near the front, and then kept out of trouble. And thankfully, he had a good race. And it's a good start for us in the constructors, anyway, that's for sure. So we'll see what we can do next race in Bahrain.
Yeah, Bahrain always.
Bahrain.
Yeah, it is Bahrain. Yeah. Some people get confused, think it might be China. I do sometimes, but I can confirm it is Bahrain next week. But yeah, I mean, a good race from yourself and your team, and of course the team in itself. Obviously, tough to handle, leading the championship, and the Williams guys obviously at the top of the constructors as well. And who knows, we might be able to see you guys at the top of the constructors as the season goes on. But a good race anyway. Great recovery from the super softs onto the ultras, and some good battles at the end as well. So congratulations on the third place. And again, thank you for joining for the interviews and answering the questions.
No problem.
Thank you very much. And that then brings the live stream and the podium interviews to an end. Thank you very much to all the viewers. I think we peaked at somewhere in the mid-20s or something like that, which is nice to see. So hopefully you guys were impressed, not only with my commentary, but also with the fantastic racing we had in ILR3 as well. You can expect more of that as the season goes on. As I said before, ILR3 is a super competitive tier, has been for the last few years, and already this season it looks like being the same as well. Congratulations then to Tough to Handle, Spaghetti Chips and Konzo with their 1-2-3 finish. My name has been Alex Lilliart. Thank you very much for tuning in, and join us back here at 8 o'clock next Thursday for some more ILR3 action.